Here, and right now I'm going to be ranking the towers in Tower Defense Simulator on a tier list based on their usefulness in game. And before we start, I would just like to say I put all the towers that don't exist or are developer locked in the bottom. Oops, I had Accelerator in there. That's an accident. Anyways, let's begin. So we begin with Shotgunner. Shotgunner is a decent tower, but it got its SWAT van ability removed, which makes it meh. It's still really good for cheap defense and hidden detection, so I will give it a B tier. Ace Pilot. This tower is essential for hardcore and very useful in the Halloween 2020 event as well, so I will put it in A tier. Commander. Do I even have to explain? Easy S tier. This thing more than doubles the DPS of any tower in its range. Commando. It's a decent tower. It did really well in Wikia Colors' video of it against bosses, but it's way too expensive. D tier. Cowboy. It got nerfed, but it's still an okay economy tower. But it's a super low DPS for its price. D tier. Crook Boss. It's decent. It does decent DPS, but it's outshined by Golden Crook Boss by a lot. So C tier. Demo Man. It's probably the better splash tower. It does the most DPS for the cheapest price. So I would put it in C tier, even though it has low range. DJ. It's either a high A or low S. It is a very good buff, but it's outclassed by Commander. I think I'm going to put it in high A tier. So I'm going to do that. Electroshocker got nerfed heavily. Doesn't do much for its price. It doesn't no damage anymore. Doesn't have a high chain range. C tier. Farm. The only way to get your Outlaws maxed by late game because Cowboy should not exist anymore. S tier. Freezer. E or F. I think E. It does lower shields, but it is incredibly outclassed by Frost Blaster, which will be going in low B tier. It's a decent event tower, and it does decent DPS for its price. Gladiator will go in low A or high B. I think high B because it does really good DPS. It has a low range. It's an event tower. It's probably the best event tower except for one thing, so I'm going to put it in B tier. Golden Crook Boss is decent. I don't think it actually got changed at all, but now that all the towers are basically nerfed, A tier. Scout. And now we go to the Golden Minigunner. This thing is amazing. It has 120 DPS for a low price. Even though it is affected by the fire rate bug, it is still amazing. S tier. Golden Soldier, probably the second worst golden out there. It increases burst count, but that doesn't do much because it's still meh. E tier. Holiday Archer. This thing used to be S tier. It got nerfed so heavily. Now I just put it in low B tier. Hunter. E tier. Sucks. Militant. Oh man, I miss John so much. Militant is okay-ish, but it got nerfed so heavily it has a stupid base price, so I will put it in D tier. Medic, C tier. Or should I swap John and Medic? Yeah, I think I should. Medic isn't that useful, didn't really get changed. Medic gets stunned, so that makes its ability useless. Accelerator. The awesome my boy Accelerator. It's amazing. S tier. Military base got changed, and I think it's for the better. I think it's a decent tower now because it's useful in hardcore and events. I will put it in A tier. Regular minigunner is still viable, but is severely outclassed by golden minigunner and other towers. I will put it in B tier. Mortar, they changed the splash towers a ton. They're not all very useful. Just mortar, I think, will be in C tier. I think it's still better than Rocketeer. Outlaw, do I even need to explain? The nerf didn't even bother it. It's still S tier. It's amazing. Paintballer, no need to explain. Golden Cowboy is also D tier. It's not much better than regular Cowboy, but it costs like 50,000. Golden Scout, the best early game tower, no doubt. Definitely A tier. High A tier. It is amazing. I think still behind those two. That would be fine. Pursuit, they buffed it again. It used to be a pretty good tower. It's decent. I will put it in low B tier. It's still useful. You can use it in the Halloween event. It's okay. Pyromancer F Tier. Why would you buy a tower that actually helps enemies? Why? Golden Pyromancer, but guess what? It costs 50,000 coins. Sucks. In fact, yeah, it's just so horrible. Why would anyone use that trash? Rocketeer, high D tier. It's not very useful because the Templar got nerfed, so the shields don't really need to you don't need to use explosions on the shields. So Rocketeer isn't viable anymore. D tier. Slasher, it's a decent early game tower. It would be much better if its bug was fixed where its knife throw does no damage. So I will put it in B tier. Sniper used to be decent. It used to be a great early game tower for events. Used to be B tier. But now it has super low DPS, and I would say just because of its high range, it should go in E tier. Soldier's okay for an early game tower. C tier. Swarmer. If you've seen Wikiacolors' video on this, you know how OP this thing is. It does amazing against bosses. And it has an amazingly cheap price. It goes in S tier. Turret. The final tower. So, the thing about Turret, I will be putting it in B tier. It has great DPS, 125. The thing is, it's just outclassed by Golden Minigunner and Outlaw, and even Ace Pilot. They do outperform this in many ways, and this thing is much more expensive. So I will be putting that in B tier. Anyways, that is my tower defense tower tier list. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe for more content on Roblox, and I'll see you guys next time.